Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Just a quick message from me before we begin this video is that this will be the first episode of a series I'm doing here on the channel called Tea Talks. So this will be Tea Talks episode 1. Thank you very much for watching and I hope you enjoyed this video. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here for the first time, welcome for the first time. Today I'm going to be discussing the subject of glowing up and specifically what it means to glow up as an autistic person, and my perception of glowing up as an autistic person. So I'll start off with what I believe glowing up is. And by the way, just to be clear, I'm talking about glowing up, not growing up. Although I do believe glowing up is a part of growing up. Um, so my understanding of glowing up is another word to use for glow up is looks maxing is a term I've seen used here on YouTube. Um, Basically, where you implement different sorts of habits or different tricks and techniques to improve your physical appearance, such as like getting a better haircut, improving your skincare routine, and all that sort of thing, as well as, and of course, there's also the fitness element to that. So if you don't know, I'm currently working on a, I'm currently doing a 60-day challenge called the Ugly Duckly 60 Challenge, where for 60 days I'm challenging myself to do different habits that leads up that and the purpose of the challenge is to glow up, is to look max, but also just to have be healthier. So like the three main components of the challenge are to improve sleep, to improve diet, and to improve fitness. Um, but it's also to improve sort of the way I look. Obviously, that's not gonna. Obviously, I can't do too much. I can't improve too much in 60 days, but I thought it'd be. I thought 60 days was a good number. Um, it's 2 months for me to challenge myself. And by the way, at the time of making this video, um, at the time of filming, I am on day 19, so I'm almost a third of the way there. I still have more than 40 days to go. But I think I'm doing okay. I think I've slipped off a bit. Anyway, more on that later. I'll talk about that in another video because I've made plenty of videos about this challenge I'm doing. Today's not about the challenge specifically, but it's more to do. This video is more specifically about glowing up and autism. Um, so I guess I'll talk about me. That sounds a bit narcissistic, doesn't it? I guess I'll talk about I guess I'll start in a video about autism and glowing up. I should probably touch on the subject of autism and basically and briefly discuss how it impacts me. So the way autism impacts me. Okay, so I probably should give a background. So I was diagnosed with autism when I was 14. I'm 26 now, so I've known that I've had autism for almost 12 years now. Um, and the way that it impacts me, it impacts my social life. It is very difficult to make friends, especially close friends. I get along with people, okay. Um, like I can talk to people. Um, I can engage with people, but when it comes to like making close friendships and going, it, like make when it comes to making close friendships, it's very difficult. And then like dating and that sort of thing, that's on a whole nother level of difficulty. Um, but that is something I'm working on. But I the other things that autism impacts, it can impact concentration. So for example, I'm actually writing a novel at the moment, which I consider to be a very autistic thing to do. Um, and I have a lot of trouble focusing on the subject at hand. I have a lot of trouble focusing on my writing, and it's taking me forever to do. And that also brings me on to the next thing, procrastination. I'm not sure if autism specifically, if I'm not sure if autism leads to procrastination, but I feel like for me it does. Um, I I tend to I tend to procrastinate on a lot of things. Um, I like even making this video. I procrastinate on making videos. I procrastinate on editing videos. So I do procrastinate a lot. That's another problem I have. The other problem that I have is eye contact. Now, and I mean this in two ways. So right now, when I'm filming, it's very hard for me to maintain eye contact with the camera. So when you're watching me now, I sometimes might not look directly at you, even though like I can't see you, you can only see me. But you know the point. Like I have trouble maintaining focus with eye contact. But the other way of that eye contact is a problem is when I'm with people. Now, when I'm talking to someone, it's okay. When I'm like having a conversation with someone, like eye contact isn't really much of a problem. It's only when I'm not talking to anyone, but I'm surrounded by people, um, that eye contact becomes a problem. I don't know why it is. I don't know why that is. It's just I feel like incredibly awkward. I have to look away sometimes, like quickly look away. Um, I have trouble like I can't just be like slowly move my head like that or like that. I just have to like look away or look down like really quickly if I ever make eye contact. It's really not great. Um, the other thing that um, I guess the other thing that I want to get into with this particular video, I think is more so to do with intuition. Now, I also just want to put here that I should have put this earlier, but autism can impact people in different ways. I don't represent all people on the spectrum, um, so this is just my experience. So intuition can be a problem. So when it comes to things like, and this is more going back to my adolescence. So when I was in high school, I didn't really have much of an intuition when it came to things like grooming, skincare, and hairstyles and all that sort of thing. That like other people seem to figure that out for themselves, or they had some sort of support system. I didn't have a support system and I didn't figure it out, so I just didn't really know what to do. So I ended up looking really horrible. My hair was really oily, my skin was really oily. I mean, this is all sort of teenage things, but I was especially unattractive. Um, and I guess that blends in today because I think since finishing high school, I think I have made improvements. You know, I've learned how to dress better. Um, I'm taking a lot better care of myself than I was in high school. I think most people like learn to take better care of themselves as they get older. But yeah, I think I am taking better care of myself than I was before. I'm learning to. I'm eating better. I'm being a bit more consistent with the gym. Like I'm actually putting work in to make changes. I think when it comes to autism and growing up, there are a lot of different habits that um, are associated with like growing up. Obviously, like going to the gym, all the different skincare things, and I think because people on the autism spectrum can become very overly become overwhelmed, and there's too much to remember. Like there's all these little tips out there which are helpful, by the way, but it's when you're autistic, a lot of that information becomes overwhelming, and you have to remember to do all these things every day, and it just becomes too much. So it is hard to remember, and I also think when it comes to something like sleep, for example, consistency is very hard. Just because like my brain doesn't really switch off until like after I'm supposed to go. Like I set myself a bedtime, and past it when the bedtime comes, like I'm still like my brain hasn't switched off yet. That might be like a sort of a biological thing, but I don't know. Um, but that is sort of what happens. The other thing is one of the things like I think it's very hard for in the gym. Like I do go to gym almost every day. Sometimes I miss the gym. I also think sometimes, for me, like I get very distracted, or like I have trouble like pushing through tasks. Like I try to set myself a morning routine. Like I do have a sort of a morning routine, but I don't have like it. It's not in any sort of order. So when I wake up, I'm not really sure what's the first thing to do. So I always get mixed up, and then I start to procrastinate. We already talked about that, like procrastinate and procrastinate, and like it takes me over an hour to leave the house. And like it really bites into my time. So by the time, I sometimes actually skip the gym because it's just going to take me too long to get there and get home and all that. So it it's just going to take up too much of my morning, especially if I need to go to work, later that morning. I'm not going to have time to go to the gym. So yeah, I end up skipping because it takes me so long. And then even when I do go to the gym, it's very hard to remain focused on my workout. Have you ever noticed that there's no like autistic bodybuilders or autistic personal trainers? Well, I guess maybe that's because of the whole social aspect of being a personal trainer. But um, there doesn't or like there's no like fitness influences with autism. Um, I don't know. It, like I don't want to complain, but it's just why is that for? Like we need to ask ourselves why is that, and also why is there no autistic people in like the sort of like the men's fashion, men's fashion influences, men's grooming influences. Why is there none of those? I don't know. It kind of feels like autistic people, and this isn't about necessarily about representation. It's more so to do with like what's preventing autistic people from being in those spaces. I don't know. I'm just putting that question out there. Um, but I think it might the answer to that question might be because we don't have the same intuition as like neurotypical people. We tend to procrastinate a lot. And when I know I should really say me, not we. But I think that there are going to be like people on the autism spectrum who can relate to what I'm saying about this subject. Um, and I guess like it doesn't. I don't know. There seems to be for me like with this challenge, this ugly duckly challenge that I'm doing, it seems that it's very hard for me. I'm at a point now where like, okay, so some days I have like good days, sometimes I have bad days, but I don't really seem to be like there seems to be a barrier for me that I can't really seem to break through. Um, like a mental barrier. I don't know. I think it's also to do with mental toughness. Mental toughness is hard for me. Um, it's very hard for me to be it's tough. It's tough for me to be mentally tough. Um, I can't seem to get into. Yeah, I can't. It's very hard for me to. I just give an example. Like sometimes when the alarm goes off, I don't want to get out of bed. I press the snooze button. So I think there is like like I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Don't want to have a cold shower. I don't want to, go for a run or whatever the case may be. Or I don't want to eat. I rather just eat crappy food. So I do think like there is like a mental. I think it is like there is like a mental barrier for me as an autistic person when it comes to like self improvement. It's funny because I've always been interested in like the idea of self improvement, but I've always struggled with the process of self improvement, and I think it's just because of all of these factors. Um, yeah, it is. There definitely is a mental barrier. Anyway, that is my thoughts. I know I didn't really articulate my thoughts very well. I really just wanted to make this video. I thought it might be an interesting subject because I don't think anyone's ever um, looked at these two like intersected these two subjects together before. So I thought I would do that. I would break that barrier at least. Um, but that is all I have to say for now. If you do want me to make more videos about this sort of subject, please let me know in the comment section below. But that is all I have for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.